X-Men. Phenomenon. Marvel took the ball and ran with the X-Men. Well, not in the 80s. In the 80s, they were just relegated to comics and maybe a couple of appearances on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I didn't get into the X-Men until very late in my life. I was probably collecting comics for about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years before I got into X-Men. Not for any particular reason. It just, I just never really got into them. But I did pick up a lot of back issues. A lot of big back issues when I was a kid and an adult. See, here's the era of X-Men that I was very unfamiliar with. The early 80s X-Men, I was very unfamiliar with their exploits, their adventures. But it's good going back and reading these. Because look at this point. At this point, Magneto is the leader of the X-Men. That's pretty crazy, right? Here's Mr. Sinister. All right. See, now this is the era where I really started getting heavily into X-Men. During the Acts of Vengeance storyline. The Acts of Vengeance storyline was a whole Marvel Universe-wide storyline where all the main villains team up to try and eliminate all the heroes. You had Doctor Doom, you had Loki, you had Mandarin right here, Red Skull, guys along those lines. And in this X-Men storyline of Acts of Vengeance, they took Psylocke, who was actually the sister of Captain Britain. And and the Mandarin, yeah, it's a little funny to explain this. The Mandarin gave her a race swap. She was a British girl, and then they turned her into a Japanese ninja assassin. Anyway, I'm going on about that. There's a couple more issues of X-Men. This is when I really started getting heavy into them, in the Jim Lee days. Jim Lee was a big part of the reason why I got into a lot of stuff. Punisher and X-Men. I even bought Wildcats when I went crazy buying Image comics as a teenager. Alright, let's flip through a couple more of these. Flip through a few more of these. Damn, Jim Lee is a good artist. And now I will talk about the very first X-Men comic I bought. I saw this cover in the candy store back when candy stores used to sell comic books back in 1989. I saw this and I was like, I have to get it. Because once I saw Jim Lee, once I saw that name Jim Lee on the cover, yeah, I knew it was worth getting. So, here we go. Uncanny X-Men, number 258. This was like, this was the end of the Acts of Vengeance storyline for the X-Men. Here we have Psylocke mentally torturing Wolverine while he's in some vat. Yeah, Psylocke turned bad at this point. There she is. Psylocke is my favorite X-Man, by the way. Yeah, this was around the time they introduced Jubilee, too. Jubilee, who I always, especially seeing her here, I always suspected they try to make her like Robin to Wolverine. Look at the color she's wearing. But, there's Mandarin. There's Mandarin. Yeah, so at this point, the X-Men were all displaced. And they were all trying to gather up together again. We got Banshee, Forge. So, here's more mind games. Psylocke playing more mind games with Wolverine. And, gotta say, big fan of the way Jim Lee drew Psylocke. Big fan of the way Jim Lee drew Psylocke. Big fan of the way he drew everybody. And there's Wolverine in his in a loincloth. Wolverine likes running around in loincloths from time to time. And Jubilee blows the place to smithereens. And Psylocke snapped out of it. She attacks Mandarin. Mandarin ain't having that. She's a badass ninja. Here we go. And here we go. Wolverine puts two of his claws through Mandarin's suit. He's just really, really tempted to pop that third one right through his suit. Go right through his neck. Here's a good one. Wolverine asks Mandarin, "You ever dance with the devil by the pale moonlight?" Yeah. But this issue right here. Yep. It's what got me into the X-Men. And then they went X crazy. Oh, around this time, they already had the New Mutants. They had X-Factor. New Mutants became X-Force. But then they split the X-Men into two. The bigger they got. They split this into Uncanny and just regular old X-Men. But, yeah, these old issues, compared to what I hear is going on now with X-Men, it's pretty much a shame. X-Men and the Punisher is what really got me into Marvel Comics. I used to get the classic X-Men issues too that reprinted the stuff from like the 70s. But yep. Very first X-Men issue I bought. Number 258. The man, Jim Lee. Jim Lee. Look at these covers. These covers he did. Look at that. Attention to detail. Really, really nice stuff. All right, everybody. Be back shortly with another comic review. Have a good one, folks. Peace.
Winners don't use drugs.